Hello, everybody. Welcome back once again to the Sharp Angle Show. It's week 2 of college football, week 1 of the National Football League. We're going to look back, we're going to look ahead, and we're going to try to give you a little insight on what we think is going to go on. And we all agree tonight we hate Major League Baseball at this very moment. I'm just Ryan Hyatt. Think of me as your cruise director. I'm like Julie on the Love Boat. He's our man, Smitty, in parts unknown, somewhere up there in the wilds of Virginia. We don't know exactly what he's doing. And down there in the Big Easy, it's Stevie, where nothing comes easy. All right, we'll get to Coach Prime. We'll get to Colorado in a minute, but we wrap up the first full week of college football. We'll take it up to you, Smitty Bucks. Some general thoughts over the weekend. Takeaways. What do you like?
Yeah, USC keeps putting a lot of points on, and I might bounce back in a couple of minutes and talk about that. I mean, Williams has thrown a ton of points on the board. Clemson last night, that game was just crazy. Duke really put it on them last night. I don't see where's the change, which with Clemson here. DJ goes out to Oregon State. He throws up great numbers. And then another clunker last night with Clemson. They changed the offensive coordinator. Nothing really changed. The young quarterback against Klubnik, I kind of like the kid. I just didn't see anything that has changed from one year to another. They got to get the ball more to Shipley, I think. They were trying to run the other running back, which I like, but he had a really late turnover at the goal line where I think you got to get it to your playmakers. So Clemson, not saying the season's over yet, but man, they don't look like they're Florida State.
No, they do not. Stevie, what about week 1 for you?
I mean, I just want to make a general statement, to the people listening, to keep them from falling into these traps. Don't overreact to everything you saw in the first week. No team is as good or as bad as they looked in week 1. I know people think they see a team blow somebody out the water and they see another team struggle and they're gonna be like, I'm a bet against this team all year. They suck. I'm a bet on this team all year. They look good. Look, man, them lines are there for a reason. They're going to correct them numbers. Teams that got film now, the coaches are going to make adjustments, and you're going to see teams bounce back and win this week that looked awful in week 1. You're going to see teams that looked great in week 1 not so good in week 2. So I just want to tell people to be cautious as far as that goes, because a lot of people believe they trust their eyes too much, and it's some guys do better that don't even watch the games. So that I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, the psychology of sports betting is a fascinating subject. Recency bias is real. There may be no greater example of that than Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes right now. Obviously, the story of week 1 going to TCU and upsetting the Frogs. They've got Nebraska this week. The Huskers didn't look exactly like a rolling ball of butcher knives in week 1 offensively for Matt Rule. I don't know which one of you guys wants to take this little phenomena right now. Is there value in the Buffaloes? We saw the line come out. We've seen it adjust down the first 48 hours. What are you thinking, Smitty, on what we're seeing right now?
Well, I'm going to say, last week I was on TCU. So I'm going to, I'll say that about myself. I really thought TCU.
You had a lot of company. Don't feel bad.
Yeah, that's the thing with us. We got to be open. I mean, when you pick one correctly, you got to put it out there. When you lose one, you got to put it out there. I thought TCU was going to score a lot of points on them, which they did. The defense just looked really bad. And you got to be surprised how well Colorado played. I mean, the coach's son, Sanders, played unbelievable, over 500 yards passing. The kid, Hunter, played, I think over 100 and something snaps. And in that heat, that's just remarkable. 11 catches. Horn Jr., the other wide receiver, over 11 catches. Then you had Edwards, the running back, the freshman. Didn't really run the ball well. I only had my numbers here, 24 yards rushing, but had 5 catches, 135 yards. So they put up a lot of points here. This one scares me a little bit. I know some people that I'm with, they already jumped on Colorado. The place is going to be electric. I mean, tickets are going already for $400 or $500 for this. They sold out the spring game. But I know Nebraska looked bad. But like Stevie just said, don't get so caught up in that week one sometimes. Everybody now thinks Colorado is going to win the national championship. They think all these kids are going to win the Heisman. The numbers have changed. I'm not saying Nebraska is going to win. This one scares me a little bit when everyone's talking about a team. The line moved pretty good here. Sims has to play better. But this is a game that Nebraska only ran like 59 plays, where Colorado ran 84. Sean Lewis, the offensive coordinator, came from Kent State. They really want to go. Could Nebraska really slow this down and keep this one close? I'm not sure. I'm right now, this is a pass for me. I'd like to get in this game, but it's a pass. But I mean, hey, it's great for college football. Deion's electric. The team was electric. I was way off on this game, so that's all I have to say.
What do you think, Stevie?
Yeah, this game's not going to be a play for me. I'm going to sit back and watch it. I like Deion Sanders. I liked him as a player. When he was playing, football was entertaining. He used to cut up and dance, and that's when I loved football. I was a Saints fan back then. He played for the Falcons. It was a rivalry. I used to enjoy it. That's when football was football. And I like the guy. I know he's a little arrogant and all, but I think he's good for football, for college football. I think he's going to bring a lot of excitement. But I'm just not sold on what happened. I think that was a combination of TCU being surprised. They wasn't expecting them to come out and play that way. I think he kind of caught them off guard. As far as Nebraska, I think Colorado's got a terrible defensive line. Matt Rule saw what I saw. He's going to pound that rock at them and play keep away. I don't like the quarterback for Nebraska. I would like to make a bet that they'll have a new quarterback by week 4. That kid that came from Georgia Tech, I don't think he's a very good quarterback. But again, I think it's just a game that I'm going to watch and not make a play on. I don't see an edge here. I think the line's probably right. I mean, Colorado, obviously, before that game with TCU, they probably would have been a 5 or 6 point dog if I had to guess. But that line is already corrected. So I'm thinking that with the way Nebraska played against Minnesota, Nebraska should have beaten Minnesota. In all fairness, I mean, as bad as they looked offensively, they had a chance to win that game. So, and I don't think Colorado is as good as Minnesota, especially not with the line play. I mean, Colorado's lacking some talent on defense, and it's going to show this year. That's what's going to get them beat. I think they score a lot of points, but they're going to give up more. They may win 5 or 6 games, but I think that's about their ceiling, in my opinion.
All right, speaking of lines, it's time to kind of run the board here, look at some of our early week games that we are liking. We'll go back up to Smitty Bucks, and from a college standpoint or NFL, what do you like that you want to tell the folks about here this week?
Well, my first one, I got to say, I can't give it out because you got to subscribe to us because we already gave it on the site. And my man, right when I put it in, about 3 minutes later, he's texting us and saying, this is a play for the site. And I was like, well, I feel pretty good because I just put that in myself. So I can't say that one. So I'm going to keep my mouth closed on that. No, I have a couple leans. That's the only one I have in right now. And I feel good when myself and Stevie are matching up on plays here. I'm going to go right back a couple. UTSA, I gave that out. That was a big loser last week too against Houston. I like them this week to rebound. I'm trying to remember who they play. My notebook is so packed. If you guys, Texas State, big win last week against Baylor. I mean, no one saw that. We talked about Texas State last week also on the show. But, Harris he had a really bad game. The team is a better team. I think when you really lay one in week 1, they're going to come back. I'm leaning towards them. Hey, Ryan, I'm going to make you happy here. I think Texas Tech, I think it's a spot. I talked about this. Tough one. You're up 17-0, and then you just lose in double OT. I think it's a good spot, though. I mean, they got to run the ball a little bit. I think – where's my notes on that game? I don't even know. I have notes all over the place here, but I think it's a good spot for everyone. I think Texas Tech's going to play. It's a team that knows they're a good team. They get the home field. Oregon, again, laid a lot of points on Portland State, but again, it's Portland State. Wyoming, and Stevie kind of gave that out last week. He said, Wyoming was going to be a tough matchup and they play hard. Great head coach, and it was. But I think Texas Tech's another one that's a really good one. I'm looking at some team points really quick. I hit Texas A&M last week. There's 4 teams I'm looking at team points right now. I think Michigan's going to come back and really lay on UNLV. They didn't score a ton. They scored some points last week. I think they're going to throw a lot of points, so I'm leaning that one. USC is a machine right now. They can just put up points. I think it's at 50 right now. I think they've hit 55 in the 60s so far this year. I really like them. I think Washington's another one to keep an eye on with points. I think they're going to try to throw a lot of points on people. Penix Jr., the 2 wide receivers are very talented. And then Arkansas against Kent State. I got to see where that one is. Kent State is not a good team. UCF last week, 723 total yards against them. They threw on, I think, 56 on them. The head coach was never even like a coordinator for Kent State. I think Kent State's going to get rolled. I think Arkansas is going to put a lot of points up. So right now, those are my early leans. And one more really quick. I'm kind of eyeing up the under in the Notre Dame NC State game. I just think that one's going to be a little slower. Some of the projections I look at, it kind of has it right around that, but maybe a little bit below. Really, Notre Dame's a talented team. I love Sam Hartman, but who have they played so far? They played Navy, not a very good football team. They came back with Tennessee State, I believe, last week. I got to see against a team, not saying NC State's a juggernaut by any means, but I think that game could be a little closer and a little more lower scoring kind of game.
One nugget on Texas Tech and Oregon coming up this Saturday. Kickoff will be 6 o'clock Central. It'll be about 99 degrees, 120 on the turf. Eugene, Oregon will be about 68 degrees, I think, on Saturday. We'll see how the Ducks handle the heat. And there is an elevation change. Everybody talked about Tech going and playing at Wyoming. That was about a 3,500-foot elevation change. Eugene, Oregon is 420 feet above sea level. Texas Tech plays at 3,300. Factor those two things in maybe just a little bit. I think Oregon is the team rightly favored, but we'll see if the weather and the elevation maybe plays this week. Let's go down to Stevie. What are we looking at on the college ranks?
I'm going to give out a play, that I like a lot. It's going to be the Rodney Dangerfield of college football. Kansas, I get no respect. Nobody wants to give Kansas any respect because they were bad for so long. But this isn't the same old Kansas Jayhawks that you've been watching for the last 10 years. They got a great coach. Lance Leopold's won at every level. He come from Buffalo. Before that, he was at one of those Division III schools, Whitewater, Wisconsin. I don't know, but he won a national championship. He's won at every level. He's a great coach. They got the most returning talent coming back of any team in college football this year. Last year, they started the year off really good and kind of faded towards the end due to some injuries and whatnot. But, this team is definitely solid. Illinois lost. They breaking in a young quarterback. They lost the defensive coordinator who's now at Purdue. There's a lot of changes going on in that program. This is the first road game for this quarterback. I just think Kansas is the play here. I mean, I saw he also hired Bill Snyder's son to be the special teams coach. He's building something at Kansas, and I think he's going to end up with a bigger job before too long because if you can win at Kansas and Duke, you can win at anywhere in the country. That's my role. In Tulane, that's the 3 schools that are toughest to win. 3 toughest jobs, and this guy is doing a great job, and I really like him this week. They play Friday night, and we're going to give that play out on the site as well. But this is a little freebie for our viewers, the guys that took time to watch the video. We're going to give a little free one out. I really like Kansas in this spot -3.
The lanyap going on today on the picks there. I want to stay with you. Let's go NFL real quick. Or not real quick. It doesn't have to be real quick. It can take as long as we want to take. Obviously, we've had all summer to get ready for week 1. We know who the favorites are, and the favorites probably just crush it week 1, right, Steve?
No, absolutely not. Since 2005, the dogs are 61% ATS in week one, so that's a pretty good little nugget for you. To look at. I'm not saying that don't bet any favorites, but just be careful when you're doing your handicap. And I try to stay away from favorites at any time. For the most part, I'm pretty heavy on dogs, but this week. And another thing I want to throw out too, in the first 5 or 6 weeks of the NFL season, I like betting double-digit dogs because teams don't know how bad that they're bad yet. Like, by week in week 1, 2, and 3, every team in the NFL thinks they have a shot to win the Super Bowl. Come week 10 or 11, 33% of the teams in the NFL know they have no chance to win the Super Bowl, and they lay down. So that's why I like betting these big dogs early, because they play hard and they're gonna fight till the end. A lot of back doors, so that's got something to do probably with the 61% ATS with dogs in week one, because everybody's playing hard and it's hard to beat teams by double digits in early in the year because they're fighting. Everybody's fighting, trying to get them early wins. So that's just my theory on it, and keep that in mind when you're handicapping the early weeks of the NFL.
Smitty, let's go up to you, and we've got an interesting one with. Can people see your Pittsburgh Steelers shrine behind you?
Oh yeah, it's in the back there.
Yeah, they've got a coach who, by the way, I don't know if you know this. He's never had a losing season.
I've been told that. I've been told that by some people.
They are opening up with a team a lot of people feel like can be the NFC representative in the Super Bowl. What are your thoughts, though, with what's going on with San Francisco, with Bosa, with some other issues maybe going on there?
Yeah, this is a team, I'm a diehard Steeler fan, but the one thing with me is, I bash the Steelers. I'm very hard on the Steelers in, certain situations where I hear it on Twitter and some things like that. So, but I like this spot. I think it's a great spot. I know Stevie's not a big teaser guy. I am a teaser guy, especially in the NFL. I think it's a great spot for a teaser if you like to put the Steelers up 6 more points in this game. I think the Steelers can win this game outright. If you really look at the Steelers the last 3 years, they've opened up really well. They beat the Giants. I think it was in the COVID year. Now, that's the Giants, but here we go here. Buffalo, they went up to Buffalo 2 years ago, and they beat Buffalo. Last year, they went to Cincinnati. They intercepted Burrow like 4 or 5 times in that game. Now, they're at home this year. I think they're a little bit better on the road at times than they are at home anymore, and that's weird, but it kind of seems, being a Steeler fan, it's like that. But I like them this week, too. I think they beat San Francisco straight up. You like them in a teaser spot, add up some points there. I think that's a good spot. But I think the Steelers are going to be in good shape week 1.
Listen to him go.
In all fairness, Smitty, I will say this. If you're going to play teasers, NFL is the spot to play them. If you know how to use the right numbers and go up, you're doing the right thing. You always add up and get over 7. That's always a good bet. I like getting over 11, but that's getting over 7 is a good bet. So if you're going to play teasers, that's what you want to do.
And obviously, most people, your key numbers, your Wong teaser, as it is known, getting through those critical key numbers that matter so much more in the NFL than they do in college football. And again, there's nothing wrong with teasers. There's nothing wrong with parlays. There's nothing wrong with any of those style bets, as long as you're making the right ones. You're limiting it. If you're trying to make a living doing it, that's why Vegas has a 42% hold on the parlays, because a lot of people do too many of them. I liken it to when people are, playing craps, and all of a sudden they realize I've got my money spread around too much. Consolidate it, but the right place, you can make a killing on those. It's just understanding the right times to do it and being judicious, I think, in how people approach that. There's nothing wrong with it. There are a lot of people who are very, very good at that. Let's go to Kansas City and look at Thursday in this one. We find out today that Travis Kelce, they do not believe it is a torn ACL, but obviously he's dealing with an injury. We find this out on a Tuesday before a Thursday game. What do you guys think the impact of that is and should be number-wise, and how do you think that actually will impact just our play on the field for the Chiefs? And there's another issue that they have going on there in Kansas City as well on the defensive side.
Yeah, I think that Kelsey's worth just what it moved, about 1.5 to 2 points. I mean, that's Mahomes' number one weapon. You take him out of the equation, they become much easier to defend, obviously. But I think Chris Jones in the middle is going to be a huge. I think that's a bigger loss than Kelsey because Kansas City doesn't have a stellar defense to begin with, and you take that guy out of the middle, and they're going to be pretty easy to push around up front. And this Detroit team, like Deion Sanders said, we coming, they coming. They are coming. They are a good team. Dan Campbell's building a winner there. I don't think he's the most intelligent coach in the NFL, but he's a great motivator. He's a player's coach. Those guys really like playing for him. They got his back, and he's building a family there. And that's what it takes to win. When guys get together and they play hard for each other, they become like a family. And I think that's the kind of atmosphere he's building in that locker room. And I think this is a big game for Detroit. And in past history, Super Bowl champions and runner-ups normally don't do too well in week one for whatever reason against the spread. I think they're below 50%. So that's another little angle. So I definitely think Detroit's probably the play in this spot. I wouldn't go crazy on it because, you got Superman on the other side, Mahomes, but I think he's going to have a tough day, trying to beat this team because Detroit's going to put up some points for sure.
Yeah, and I think Circa has just moved this to -4. I think that's the lowest number as we record this on Tuesday night. Smitty, you look at this one, and this is always interesting. First game of the year, it's a standalone. You're going to see so much action on this game. It's going to be heavily bet. Will that suck any of the life out of the value on the number, or do you think this is one that right now maybe you do look at Detroit before it goes to wherever it ends up going off at?
Well, I think if you're going to jump on Detroit, you better jump on it quick. I mean, could it come back? I think they're going to reevaluate him tomorrow. I just can't see Kelsey playing if it's like that. I mean, week one, why risk it if it's not good? But I would jump on it. Again, we just talked teaser spots. I think it's a good teaser spot. I think Detroit, especially with Jones not in there, could they run the ball with Gibbs and try to do some things like that? I think it's a good spot. Take the team up and take them up 6 more points. And again, if you want to look at the over-under too, I mean, this could get high scoring because Mahomes does have some weapons. And like Stevie said, Detroit can put some points on too. So maybe I'm more taking Detroit up and you can get them up to about 10. I think this could be a little closer. Other than that, I mean, I'm going to sit back and just enjoy this game. But I think Detroit could hang in this game if you have some of these guys, Jones not there. Because like Stevie said, Kansas City can't stop the run. I think Detroit's really going to pound the ball if he's not in there. And then if you take Kelsey out of there, then you're in some play here with Detroit.
All right, let's wrap it up before we get out of here tonight. We'll go back down to Stevie, your final thoughts, any words of wisdom for everybody. And you can, right now, the floor is yours to gripe about Major League Baseball if you want to.
Yeah, man, this baseball is just tough. It's a tough racket. Like Jimmy Vaccaro says, it's a lot of feathers involved. You get some chicken at times, but there's a lot. You got to learn to like eating feathers when you bet baseball because it's every day and it's tough to beat any sport that's daily. But we try to grind through. It's been a rough week with it. We're down a few units, but I mean, don't panic. We'll bounce back with the football. I'm pretty confident we'll have a decent week with the football and, jump on board, guys. I think we'll have some good plays out there this week in the NFL and college football. That's what we really specialize in and we expect to win. So,
and we don't post them on Sharp Angle Syndicate site, but if anybody does want my Icelandic women's soccer league plays, DM me, hit me up. I'll get you taken care of. I don't like to brag. I feel like I kind of have the market cornered on that, though. So just let me know if you need those. Smitty, what do you got before we get out of here?
Yeah, like Stevie said, baseball's tough. I hit 10 in a row, and last couple of days, some bullpens have let me down. But I'm going to keep firing. You can't get too – I've said it. It's like you got to have the mentality of a reliever, man. Sometimes you blow a game, you got to come back. The numbers are there. The games are there. I'm not getting blown out. I'm going to keep firing away. We're going to keep winning in Major League Baseball. I promise that it's not going away here. I think one other thing, just keep an eye on. Stevie made a great point about the dogs this weekend in the NFL. Steelers are one. Cleveland's another one. How about the Giants against Dallas? I think that one's going to be tough, really a tight game. Then you got the great one Monday night. You got Buffalo against the Jets with Aaron Rodgers. I think that's another one. There's another dog. Keep an eye on the dogs this week. I think the dogs could be barking.
Absolutely. We hope you guys have enjoyed another Sharp Angle show. If you're not a subscriber, we'd love to welcome you into the fold. It's easy to do. You can even use promo code NBW20 for 20% off our already insanely low packages and plans. We're transparent. You can see our record right there on the website. We update it every week, pretty much every day. You can keep up with that, no problem. So we hope you guys will be a part of it. Join it. Spread the message. For Stevie, for Smitty Bucks, I'm Ryan Hyatt, and we will see you next week on another Sharp Angle.